Those are Russians behind us, by the way. Move. I got that on video. That was great. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're checking out the Arcturus AK12. This is their most recent ETU model. It is currently a prototype and it is amazing. Easily, and I don't say this lightly, one of the best stock airsoft guns out of the box I've ever used. Let me just walk you through my process here of what I did to it. Nothing. I literally took it out of the box, charged the battery, plugged it in, and took it out in the field. I ran Elite Force .32s through it, and dang, this thing rocks. It is one of the most solid, best performing AEGs I have used out of the box. Real quick, let's get everything out of the way it comes with. You're going to get two magazines. One's a high capacity and one's a variable mid cap. This can range anywhere from 30 rounds to a little over 100 with just a flip of a switch. Of course, the obligatory cleaning rod, a pretty basic instruction manual, a quality assurance certificate from Arcturus. This is actually pretty neat. They chronoed 5 shots and they give you each the chrono on there and they sign off certifying that it is ready to go. A sticker, which is pretty cool, an Arcturus coaster, kind of neat conversation piece, and if I can go through all the things I have here, an Arcturus patch. This is a must-have. The gun shipped with the orange tip on it, but it does come with the AK12 muzzle device as well. It also comes with a couple of Allen keys, one for installing your rear sight and one for the quick change spring. And lastly, this is pretty important, you get a couple of programming aids for the MOSFET in the gun. It's made by Perun and it is really, really cool. You get a small programming card to show you all the options for the MOSFET, as well as a little sticker booklet. Closer. Oh, I got him. Thinking about it. The externals of the AK-12 really haven't changed a whole lot from the previous iteration of the gun. Nonetheless, because this is a full review, we're going to go over the whole thing. The stock, however simple, I actually really love on the AK-12. The back is rubberized and grips your shoulder really nicely and is quite comfortable. It is a sliding, retractable stock and has numerous positions. I like it kind of at the midpoint, like a little closer to my shoulder there. You also get a couple of quick attach sling points on either side. I actually use these religiously almost every game with a Magpul sling, so I can just let it sit here and it's perfect. To top it off, the stock is folding as well for storage or however you want to run your AK. There's a button on the opposite side, press it, and your stock will fold. It's simply held in place here. It does rock a little bit, but it's nothing too crazy. And if you want to open it up, you can just pull it open. The selector here on the right side does have a finger shelf, so with one finger, I can pretty easily adjust my firing mode instead of having to take my hand off the grip and adjust it manually. It's actually really nice. But one of the biggest features about this gun, it has safe, full auto, 2-round burst. Ooh, really, really nice. And semi-automatic as well. So with the built-in Perun MOSFET, you get the fire selection modes of the real firearm as well. The pistol grip on this gun looks a little bit different, kind of futuristic, alien almost. The push buttons on the side are non-functional. It's just one molded piece of polymer. I wish it had a little bit more texture, but at that point I'm being nitpicky. It's extremely comfortable, and holding it on the field, it just feels natural and correct. The rear sight in the gun is adjustable for both windage and elevation. 2 buttons adjust the elevation, and a little knob on the side adjusts the windage. It also comes with the gun detached, so you can detach it if you want or leave it on. It's really simple. If you do detach it, you've got a full-length pick rail on top here that's nearly monolithic across the entire top of the gun, aside from a small bridge on the top here. The hot pump is adjustable underneath the fake bolt here. It's got a pretty nice spring behind it, and it is steel. So if I want, it's got a pretty nice sound to it if you just want to enjoy that. Pulling it back, you do see we have a rotary style hop up on an AK. That's huge and really, really cool. It's nice and easy to adjust. You can actually just get your finger in there, or fingernail, and it's stiff enough that it's not going to walk off or rotate while you're shooting. The battery compartment on the airsoft gun is fairly large and extremely easy to access. You don't need tools or anything. There's a small lever here, pull it up, and slightly out. All the space above the gearbox, including above the hop-up, is perfect for your battery. Tons of room. If you want to fit those long 11-1 stick batteries, you actually have all the space up in the piston tube as well. The handguard of the AK12 has 4 rails on it, one on the top and bottom, and short ones on either side. So if you want to mount an optic or a light or laser, you definitely have that option. The front sight is adjustable just for elevation. You also get a sling swivel up here that can rotate to either side. The compensator, or flashlight, or muzzle device, whatever you want to call it, basically just twists on and kind of pins in place. Underneath it are 14mm negative threads. So if you want to put your suppressor, other flashlight or tracer, whatever you want on here, you do have that option as well. Now the part I've really been looking forward to. Let's go to the tech table and open this up and see what makes this AK12 one of the best airsoft guns on the market.
I don't know. Hey!
We've got the new Arcturus AK12 opened up on the tech table here. We can check out the internals, which mainly are the hop-up and barrel, the motor, and the gearbox. The hop-up chamber is a really interesting and unique design. It is made of fiber-reinforced nylon. It's pretty smooth and it can actually feed a little bit better than the original metal hop-up from the other Arcturus AK12s. So it'll go past 23 rounds a second without a problem. It is a rotary style design and is stiff enough to where you can still move it with a fingernail, but it's not going to walk when you're shooting it. It's a really, really awesome design. The C-clip is also held in place by a small grub screw and will not come out unless you remove that screw or unscrew it. Very, very cool. So this is not going to come apart unless you really, really mean it to. It's also screwed into the gearbox here. You can see this little hole, and so everything's held together perfectly. The steel inner barrel is really heavy and really actually quite well polished and smooth. It's a 602 bore and is 450mm long. I found it to be extremely accurate with the .32 gram BBs I was using with it. The hop-up bucking contact for the BB is also an H shape, so it has 2 points of contact, which helps with accuracy and consistency instead of just the standard 1 point of contact. The motor the gun uses is fantastic. It's definitely a step up from the previous motors. It's a 23 TPA motor and is very, very torquey. It uses a D-type pinion and also has neodymium magnets. This thing rocks. This is one of the better stock motors I've seen in an airsoft gun. Something different you'll notice on the outside of the gearbox is that there is no mechanical safety here. I'll take off part of the gear train here. You'll see that we have an over travel stopper on the trigger, which can be adjusted a little bit. It is held in place there with a little screw. Now, the trigger pull on this gun is very, very short. It's less than a ½ inch there. We're probably talking about maybe 5 or 6 millimeters. It's pretty short. This can be accomplished because we have the Perun ETU in there. It is an optical MOSFET. This is such an awesome electrical system to have in your airsoft gun. I've had very good experiences with Perun, and they're a fantastic little company. Their MOSFETs are very, very nice, and I'm pleased to know that they have them in this new AK12. This Arcturus gearbox is also TM compatible. You can see that pretty clearly here. Their other designs are the micro switch design, but this one can take standard TM trigger switches and other upgrade items as well. So very, very cool. It also uses a combination of 8mm bearings and bushings. The bevel has bearings on it while the other 2 gears have bushings. In addition, the gun already comes with a Dean style connector pre-installed. After removing the large screw in the back of the gearbox, you can see we have a quick change spring guide here. This is also accessible from the outside of the gun, which is really cool. You don't have to take your entire gearbox out. You can simply fold your stock and swap your spring. It uses a steel bearing spring guide, so very, very durable. The spring is probably a little shorter than average length, but it's about an M115 or M120 power, so it'll get you right around that 400 mark, which is perfect for field limits. I did notice when I opened up the gearbox that everything was sticking to the trigger, and I realized that there was a magnet on the trigger cam here, which was rather interesting. Let's check the compression before we get really into it. It's pretty good. I'd give it like a B+, an A-, and this is with the nozzle on here, and I have not lubricated or greased this. Is all. This is totally out of the box. It's not bad, but it's not quite perfect either. So let's go ahead and look at all the compression parts here. This is a CNC palm nozzle. These are actually really smooth and quite durable. It does have an O-ring in there as well to give it a better air seal along the cylinder head shaft there. The tappet plate is rather stiff. I'm actually kind of surprised at how stiff they are. This one is. The tappets usually are a little more flexible, but I haven't had any issues with it so far, so I can't really fault it at all. It's not really terribly well lubricated, but that's kind of a nitpicky thing on my part. The compression without the nozzle is, however, perfect. So the point of loss is actually at the nozzle there, just a little bit. Otherwise, I'm getting really good bounce back when I'm trying to compress everything through the cylinder here. The cylinder head is fiber reinforced nylon, has one O-ring and just a regular old rubber pad on here. The cylinder is stainless steel. It's pretty heavy, pretty smooth, and does not have any ports on it. For the 450 millimeter barrel, having a full cylinder like this, you can definitely use some heavier ammo and get really good range, just like I was. I was using .32 gram BBs and easily hitting people at 200 feet without a problem. This is a fiber reinforced nylon piston head with ports and bearings in the back, which is nice. The piston is also fiber reinforced nylon with a steel rack here with the second to last tooth removed. The gear set is a 13:1 high-speed gear set, so you do get a little more speed and rate of fire out of your gun. And it does use a small tappet delayer chip there, which is also fantastic for feeding. They seem rather smooth just spinning them, which is also rather nice. I did notice there isn't a whole lot of grease on these, so just something to note there as well. Let's go ahead and check the shimming. The shimming on the gears is literally perfect. It could not be any better. The axial movement on the gears is as tight as you can get while still being loose enough to run. You couldn't put even the smallest shim on any of these gears and have it work any better. The height between the gears is also perfect. They couldn't be any closer together. Even the smallest shim could not adjust that. So this is probably one of the best shim jobs I've seen in an airsoft gun stock ever. One of the great features about the AK12 is that you do have a 2-round burst option, as well as your semi and your full auto, and of course safe. That is 100% due to the Perun optical MOSFET in here. It is specifically for this gun and does a great job. It's slim and is an optical design, so it's very precise. Because the gun has a pre-installed Perun optical MOSFET, we have a ton of trigger options and settings we can pick from. I'm going to plug in an 11.1 volt LiPo. It's just a little stick, not terribly little. And to enter selection mode of different settings, we can go, it's currently on semi. I'm going to go to a 2-round burst and back really quickly. Now we're on the fire selection mode. We've got 4 options here. Without any blinking or beeps, it's currently in the standard setting. That's safe, auto, 2-round burst, and semi-auto. There are 3 other settings, respectively. The first setting is safe, auto, binary trigger, and semi. Second option is safe, 3-round burst, binary, semi. And the third option is safe, semi. So you can actually semi-lock this as well. One of the fun options is binary. It's kind of one of the big things that's hitting the airsoft market nowadays, is having a binary trigger. They're definitely fun. Let's go ahead and select that mode. So I'm going to pull the trigger once to select that, and we're going to get 1 beep. Now to cycle to the different options and settings, I'm going to go to the 2-round burst function there, and that takes us to pre-cocking. There are 8 pre-cocking settings. I'm going to leave that off for now because I'm not the biggest fan of pre-cocking, but it depends on your play style. If you're a really semi-automatic person, that's all you play, pre-cocking is probably a great option for you. Take it back down, and it's in the white setting now, so that's the rate of fire reduction. If your gun's shooting a little bit too fast for some fields, and anything's possible. One of the fields back on the west side of Washington I play at has a 25 round per second limit. So if you're shooting a little fast, this does give you the option to tone it down a little bit. Trigger sensitivity, that's currently on 5, so as sensitive as it will go. That means the trigger distance, how far it has to travel before the gun will cycle. So I'm going to leave it there, but it comes at the setting of 3 when you originally get it. One more option is the lithium ion and LiPo battery monitoring option. It's currently turned on, and of course I want to leave it there. And the last option is the master reset. I'm not going to use that right now. And once I go back down again, everything's locked in. Let's go ahead and check out that binary option. So every time I pull the trigger, it'll fire, and every time I release, it'll fire. Very cool, I love that. The short trigger pull really adds to how much fun that is. What we're What'd you guys think of the AK12? For me, this is one of the most impressive airsoft guns I've ever used, out of the box, without doing any work to it. It performs like something I would upgrade and tune myself. It was really a standout from any other airsoft gun I've ever used. I don't do this lightly. I'm giving this airsoft gun a 10 out of 10, a perfect grade. I don't do that very often, and I've done it to maybe 1 or 2 items ever that I've reviewed. This has definitely earned it. It really is a standout airsoft gun, and I would have no issues using it as is for a long time. It is awesome. Now, keep in mind, this is not the finished product. This is a prototype. Everything is still subject to change. We might see some differences in it before it actually hits the market. So, when this does hit the market, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I want to see this in people's hands. I think they're going to be really impressed. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you to Arcturus for sending this over to review. It's been a lot of fun. I'll see you guys in the next review.